Today, the town memorializes its former Jewish residents. Little more than 50 years ago, they were hounding them out and baying for their blood. It seems a long while ago. For the moment, dissidents are tolerated. Jehovah's Witnesses can sell their magazine, The Watchtower, and openly recruit converts. In the 1930s, this street in Paderborn was dominated by the prison, and this is where the Kuseros were jailed. Witnesses began to lose their jobs and pensions. The Gestapo stepped up their surveillance. But the Kuseros' garden was still supplying fresh produce. The three youngest members of the family were being well cared for. They were the next target.
Ja, das war einer der schwarzen Tage. Ich war zu der Zeit gerade krank.
At that time, I was ill and didn't go to school. I was lying in bed here.
Plötzlich kam ein Auto vorgefahren, Zivilisten. Ich konnte das.
Suddenly, a car drove up. There seemed to be two civilians in it. I could see them from the window.
Kam forsch hier rein und haben uns dann. Ich musste aus dem Bett anziehen.
They burst in and wanted me to go with them. They hesitated because I was ill, and for appearance's sake took me to a doctor to see if I could be taken away.
Ich musste dann mitfahren zum Arzt, rein pro forma, ob ich
Then they collected my sister and brother from school, and we left.
Meine Schwester und mein Bruder aus der Schule geholt, und dann sind wir losgefahren.
Denn wir wurden aus der Schule herausgeholt.
We were taken from school. My brother, who was ill, was collected from home.
Und wir fuhren gemeinsam.
We were taken by two policemen to the orphanage in Dorsten.
Nach Dorsten in das Erziehungsheim. Ich kann mich natürlich noch gut daran erinnern, wie ich mich.
I can still remember how I vomited all over the jacket of one of the policemen. It took a lot of effort to clean it up once the car stopped.
Die Jacke wieder reinzubekommen.
Then the journey continued to Dorsten and the orphanage.
Nach Dorsten in das Erziehungsheim.
Am anderen Morgen mussten wir wieder.
In the morning, he again told us to give the Hitler salute. And when we refused, he took us into a room, laid us across the table, and beat us black and blue. It was bad.
Jeden Abend haben wir geduscht. Das heißt, die Heimleiterin.
We took a shower every evening. And when the female head of the house saw us, she made us bathe separately so that the other children would not see. It was very bad.
When the Second World War began, the two eldest Kusero daughters, Anne-Marie and Waltraud, escaped surveillance and left to find jobs in Berlin. It was more difficult for their brothers. In December 1939, Wilhelm, after refusing military service, was thrown into jail.
Dear parents, brothers and sisters, all of you know how much you mean to me, and I am repeatedly reminded of this every time I look at our family photograph. How harmonious things always were at home. Nonetheless, above all else, we must love God as our Führer Jesus Christ commanded. If we stand up for him, he will reward us.
As predominantly Aryan Germans, Jehovah's Witnesses were sometimes allowed the privilege of a Nazi trial. Later, Wilhelm's court-appointed lawyer, Dr. James Rohr, wrote to the family,
I had long conversations with your son before his trial and admired his calm confidence of faith. He never wavered, although he was severely pressed from all quarters. He calmly accepted the announcement of the hour of his execution, refusing again to change his mind, that is, to abandon his faith and save his life. On the morning of the execution, I took his hand and said in consolation, Mr. Kusero, you have been wonderfully strong. Remain strong now. He squeezed my hand and smilingly replied, No, doctor, don't be troubled. I am gaining everlasting life. All this is only a change. He asked me to send you his greetings. He stood upright when facing death and was dead at once.
Unable to browbeat the witnesses, the Nazis tried lies and subterfuge. with an elaborate ritual of deceit, they issued certificates and reports declaring that Wilhelm Kuserow had died a hero's death fighting for Hitler and the Third Reich. For some unknown reason, the Nazis allowed the family to collect Wilhelm's body from Münster prison, where he'd been shot. His sister Waltraud helped to arrange the funeral.
It shocked me deep, but Wilhelm was true until the death. I have seen the body in the little hall there, and he was in a private suite, and until here, Löcher.
The bullet holes?
Yeah, holes, and the blood was in the mouth.
There was a big funeral with a secret police around, and then with persons in uniform, policemen. And my brother Karl has said some words.
And then later, my brother Karl, because he spoke a few words and a prayer, the Gestapo kept him.
Karl, son number 3, was the next arrested. He was brutally tortured in Dachau and Sachsenhausen concentration camps. In April 1941, the Gestapo swooped again. After a brief release from jail, Franz and Hilda Kuserow were re-arrested, as were their daughters Hildegard and Magdalena. Nazi tenants took over the house that once proclaimed the dawning of a golden age. The Kuserows were sent to concentration camps, where the witnesses were forced to wear distinctive insignia. The Jews wore a yellow star, the witnesses a purple triangle.